Welcome to the Council meeting of 15 October 2025. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, Berwick Shire Council's meetings are recorded. By speaking at a council meeting, members of the public agree to being recorded. Berwick Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory, discriminatory or offensive remarks or gestures that are made during the course of the council meeting. Opinions expressed or statements made by individuals are the opinions or statements of those individuals and do not imply any form of endorsement by Berwick Shire Council. Confidential matters of council will not be recorded. Recordings are protected by copyright and owned by Berwick Shire Council. No part may be copied, recorded, reproduced or transmitted without the prior written consent of the CEO. Any recording is not and shall not be taken to be an official record of Berwick Shire Council meetings or the discussion depicted therein. Only the official minutes may be relied upon as an official record of the meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be taken for administrative and minute preparation purposes only and is provided to the public for listening purposes to support council's statutory obligations. Berwick Shire Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands on which we live and thrive. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. The people of these great nations, their spirits and ancestors will always remain with our waterways and lands. We don't have any apologies. Do we have any applications for leave of absence? We don't have any attendance via audio-visual link. We have a recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held in council chambers on Wednesday 17 September be confirmed. Do we have a mover? Councillor Payne, a seconder. Councillor Brooker, all in favour? Thank you, carried. Any disclosures of interest? No mayoral minutes. Okay, we're up to item 7.1, which are the local traffic committee minutes. The recommendation is that council adopt the following recommendations from the local traffic committee meeting held on Thursday 21 August 2025. LTC 1, council approved the application made by BDDA to hold the annual Christmas night market on Friday 5 December 2025 and temporary road closure of Chanter Street, Berrigan between the hours of 5 p.m. and 11 p.m, subject to a road occupancy licence to be obtained from Transport New South Wales for the event. And LTC 2, council approved the application made by Cobram Barooga Cycle Club to hold the 25-26 race permit event each Sunday from 10 a.m. for the next 12 months. Race permit is for the period 1 December 2025 to 30 November 2026. Do we have a mover? Councillor Dennis, a seconder. Councillor Payne, any questions or comments? No. All in favour of the recommendation? Thank you, carried. Items 8.1 and 8.2 are to receive and note in accordance with recommendations. Do we have a mover to move those two as a block? Councillor Natikoa, a seconder, Councillor Brooker. I'll just go through those individually should anyone wish to raise any matters. 8.1 is insurance renewal. And 8.2 are the Audit and Risk Committee, Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee minutes. Okay, all in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. We're up to item 8.3, which is the future Tocumwal concept plan. The recommendation is that council endorse the Tocumwal future plans, which include the town, car park and tree of knowledge concept plans, and consider any future grant opportunities in the 26-27 financial year to help deliver on some of the identified opportunities and works. Do we have a mover? Councillor Dennis, a seconder. Councillor Brooker. Anyone have any questions or comments?
Yeah, in this plan, excuse me, the entrance to the boat ramp has been removed. That old boat ramp is the only ramp where you can launch when the river's flooded to be able to run a rescue boat. And we've just cut off that old ramp from being usable.
Is that? Sorry.
Councillor Dennis?
Was that the way I read it? It was moving to Hennessy Street to go around the back.
That gets you to the new boat ramp, but the old boat ramp is the only one that can be used during flood. The new boat ramp goes underwater at a very low river height, so the only way you can launch is over the top of the levee bank where it is there. So before we go signing off on all this, we may need to make sure that we can still launch a rescue boat during a flood.
Do we have a staff response to the concern councillor Stringer raised?
We need to be mindful this is a concept plan. The ultimate design would require further work and investigation. In times of emergency, obviously, there's a different situation that we would apply. The intent of what's being provided in this is for normal type activities.
Yeah.
So if I was launching a boat during a non-flood event, where would I do that from?
It's not a problem. It's
Yeah.
only going to be a problem during a flood when we need to launch a rescue boat, because most people won't launch during a flood anyway. So we need to make sure that when we cover all this, that gets taken into account.
So that would be considered in future actual designs.
Yep.
And we'd have to work with Maritime New South Wales
Yes.
Department
Yep.
and everybody else to
Yes.
agree on where that might be and what it would look like.
Yeah.
Okay, so councillor Dennis, as the mover, would you like to speak in favour of the motion?
I'm happy with the response about reviewing the boat ramp if it is an issue, and to look at, make sure that all emergency services are included. Maybe add that to the concept plan, that it still has potential for review for that issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd like an amendment to what you've moved, which is, what would you like there?
To include all emergency services consultation for the boat ramp.
Go ahead.
See, if I may, the concept plan item 16 says options for boat ramp access will be explored. This may include two-way passing bays, local road network, new access way, or any other option to ensure appropriate access egress to the boat ramp. The intent of it is to cover it off that it is considered in a future design rather than exactly exploring where that might occur now.
So councillor Dennis, for the purposes of your amendment, would some changes to that wording to make it clear about the boat ramp? Can we revise that wording, Andrew, in the concept plan? I'm just trying to work out a way through here. Councillor Dennis.
To have consultation with the emergency services, I would be happy for that to be in there, to be inclusive of the boat ramp.
CEO?
Yeah, I think to sort of try to get to a halfway house here, that just, you could put in Amendment 3 that to note in the development, in any future development, the potential impact on provision of emergency services. That covers it.
I think we're suggesting some words being added to the concept plan. Is that correct or not?
I would, excuse me,
Yeah.
through the mayor, to the mayor, I would argue what is in there covers it, and if you've
Okay.
got the recommendation of, and
Yep.
I'll read that out again so you get it, for number which would be number 3, note in any future development, the, oh God, I can't read my own writing, the potential impact in the provision of emergency services.
Through you, what I was trying to clarify is that it's already in the plan.
Correct.
So it's item 16 says options for boat ramp access will be explored.
Okay.
Like I don't know how much more you can write because that's meant to be covering off everything.
Okay, let's still deal with it. I'll come back to the mover. So councillor Dennis, it's already in there. Are you satisfied with it already being in there, or would you like to move that amendment that's been proposed as well?
I think the way I initially read it, it looked like there was an option to have the 2 lanes and the access to the boat ramp initially, but I haven't read in there where emergency services or anything variables out of the ordinary, where the consultation process of that will be to make sure that we do have access to that particular boat ramp.
Yeah.
I do know which one you're talking about, and
well,
I have seen it in floods.
Yeah.
So let's just clarify this. So you'd like that amendment that's on the screen right now?
Hold on, we'll
I
just-
still believe we need to consult with emergency services, even though it is in the plan, to look at
Which we,
how to access the boat ramp and what we need
It-
to include. with
Okay,
that.
when though? Now, before we approve the plan, or later? So we need to nail this.
Later.
Okay, so what's written there requires it later. Are you happy with what's written there?
should be,
Yes.
if we can take off where we got note that in any future development, the potential impact should be the potential impact in the provision of emergency services just be considered, full stop.
In consultation?
Yep.
In consultation
Be
with?
in consultation with those
Emergency
parties.
services.
Yep, okay, good. Is our seconder happy with that amendment?
Those parties.
Yep. Okay, all right, so, anything further you'd like to add, councillor Dennis?
No, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Stringer, I'll come back.
Yes, yeah.
You're
I'm
happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, councillor Natikoa.
I was just going to note that actually in the recommendation in the report, it was just about cutting off access to the road, not the ramp.
Yep.
So that's how I took it, was we were talking about losing access for public to the road, not necessarily
road-
cutting off
the road
emergency
is the ramp.
access.
That road is the access to the ramp.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak against the motion that we now have? No.
Amendment.
Okay, all in favour?
You got to move the amendment first.
We did.
What did you?
Yep. All in favour? Thank you, carried. All right, items 8.4 through to 8.7 are receive and note in accordance with recommendations in the agenda. So I'd like to move those as a block and then I'll go through for any questions or comments. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Brooker, seconded Councillor Payne, thank you. So 8.4 is Biosecurity and Compliance Quarterly Update. Councillor Brooker, did you have something to raise for that one?
I just had a bit of a query in relation to the date that this report was maybe done for. It's saying for October, but considering that spring is a time that our weeds are flowering and spreading seeds, there doesn't seem to be a lot of action happening on the weeds department.
So presently, we're down 2 officers. So we're concentrating on doing certain things required under the regulatory obligations, but we will be out there spraying and you will actively see us when we can have the appropriate staff. It's just about assigning time to do that.
It was just my concern here, because it's obviously all those weeds are currently spreading seeds, which is going to make the job for next year bigger, and the next rain event we're going to have bindies and sandburrs and everything popping up as well.
Totally agree. If you could find me 2 biosecurity officers, I'd be much appreciated.
I'll do my best, I'll put the word out.
Shout out to everyone watching at home. Thank you, Councillor Brooker. 8.5 is the councillor requests for September. Councillor Payne?
Yeah, just in relation to the Berrigan Sports Ground roof tiles, I note here that you've got the roof tiles are replaced as of the 30th of September, but there is still ones in there that are significantly damaged. And also there's been a concern raised in relation to the electrical hardwired smoke alarm inside the men's toilets, which had a significant amount of water damaged tiles surrounding it. And the actual alarm had been removed, rendering it useless, and whether or not that had needed an electrician to look at.
Ran out of some roof tiles, so they're on order. The ones in the kitchen, I think, are the ones they were done. And then there was ones above the bar. Wasn't aware of the smoke alarm, so we'll get someone to go out and test.
Thank you.
Excellent. 8.6, we have action.
Sorry, just if I could,
Sorry,
I
yes.
forgot to submit this one,
Yeah,
Mayor,
no worries.
but I put a submission into council request in around the weeds being sprayed at the front of the Finley Cemetery, and I don't believe that I even got an email reply back from it. Did you, any sight over that?
It's not at my desk, so maybe I'll word to you after and then I can take it on board and get back to you.
Thank you.
8.6, we've got actions from previous meetings. Councillor Healy?
Just a comment, just a thank you to the Director of Community Development and their team for getting our 3 pools painted before the season begins. So I know that there's 3 very happy communities and committees.
I think appreciation from all of us. If you could pass that on, please. Thank you. And 8.7 is our investment report for September. Okay, all in favour of receiving and noting items 8.4 through to 8.7 in accordance with the recommendation in the agenda? Thank you, carried. We're up to 8.8, which is the 2026 Council Law Development Sessions schedule, our professional development sessions, which we usually have on the first Wednesday of the month. We have a proposed schedule listed here. I won't read them all. The recommendation is Council adopt those dates and times for the Council Development Session schedule in 2026. Do we have a mover? Councillor Dennis, a seconder. Councillor Hannan. Any questions or comments?
I've got one just in relation to the 4:30 sessions. I thought they were going to work better for me individually in relation to the kids and everything. They aren't, but I also note that I'm a little bit more flexible than others, so just wanted that noted.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis, did you want to speak in favour as the mover?
I guess the idea is to work around people who are working and give that time in the afternoon to do that, and the consideration of people who have children and commitments is difficult, and the care, I'm assuming, requesting an answer, I suppose, is that possible, and is that possible to be funded in part of that?
It's not the care situation, it's just the fact that when we actually get out, get home and putting the kids to bed. So it's just that trying to get that balance with the kids, because I ultimately left after they got home from school today and I'll get home at bedtime.
Yep.
So it's just trying to, and it's once or twice a month, I get it's not massive. But I obviously when we discussed this 12 months ago, I thought it would actually work a lot better than it has actually panned out. Having 12 months, hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I'm just putting
Noting
forward
it.
my comments.
Okay, thank you.
There's no penalties for doing online? is
No,
there?
these are, you can attend all of these online. Yep. I was going to make that point too, that if you can't make it in for the professional development sessions, always welcome to do it online. We make sure that works. Anyone wish to speak against? Okay, we'll put that to the vote. All in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. 8.9, which is the 2026 council meeting schedule. Again, I won't read them out except for I believe that it suggests that the December date is the third Wednesday. It's intended to be the first Wednesday so that the development session and the council meeting in December is on the same day. Just so we're all clear on that. So that will be an amendment to the recommendation in here. So the recommendation is we adopt the schedule below, except for what I mentioned in relation to December, being the third Wednesday of every month at the stated times. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Healy, a seconder. Councillor Brooker, any questions or comments?
I just have a comment and thank you. I did notice that the majority of the day meetings are during winter, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we don't want to be driving with those kangas around. Excellent. Anyone else? Okay, all in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. 8.10, pedestrian access and mobility plan for Barooga. The recommendation is that council adopt the pedestrian access and mobility plan for the Barooga Township. Do we have a mover? Councillor Brooker, a seconder. Councillor Stringer, any questions or comments? No? Okay. All in favour of that recommendation? Thank you, carried. 8.11, water pressure issues in the township of Tocumwal. The recommendation is that council receive and note the response according to the motion that full report suitable for publication about the water pressure issues in the Tocumwal township. We note the findings of the water pressure assessment of Tocumwal, and we include water main upgrades and pressure management works for Tocumwal township in the 25-35 capital works program for improvement and enable future growth. Do we have a mover? Councillor Stringer, a seconder? Councillor Dennis? Given it was my motion with notice, if you don't mind, I'll speak before you, if that's all right, Councillor Stringer. What we have here, in my opinion, isn't suitable for publication. So we need something that's suitable for publication. If we, I don't think this is required, but let's do it. If you wouldn't mind if we amended the motion to indicate that the report be topped and tailed with council's
Header, footer, letterhead.
letterheads, you know, with our branding, and be professionally edited. I'd also like consideration to be given to placing more value into complaints, because it strikes me as being quite dismissive about complaints. But as I discussed with the CEO, I don't know many people who have a bad shower and think to call council, but they do it. I mean, we've seen it at the listening posts, they tell you. So I think we should be encouraging complaints. Maybe that's a fifth item.
Can we remove topped and tailed and replace that with edited, please? Edited with council's branding and after branding and be professionally, L-Y, edited.
Yep.
Full stop. And you might say professionally edited for publication, please. Full stop. And section 5 would be for the complaints section to be rewritten in accordance with council direction, because we can pick that up from the video.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Sound all right?
Are our mover and seconder happy with that amendment?
Yep.
Okay.
There's a
Go
couple of
ahead.
questions, if I could, just to reiterate the complaints. I think if we're fair dinkum about our pressure across our whole communities, I think there's enough people that do complain. It's those who bother to put the complaint in are the ones that we actually receive, which is probably not a realisation of what's actually going on there. And I just and I think one of the problems in Tocumwal is that we're drawing from the same source, both in and outside water. Like, I'm not an engineer, water technician or anything like that, but if you've got outside water going, you've got inside water going at the same time, well then is there going to be issues with that?
Well, that's the thing, it's the only town that doesn't have unfiltered water, so you're drawing source for outside and inside from that one resource, so the pressure.
And in our reporting and all our the public works stuff that they're doing, is there going to be a recommendation, do you think, in there around putting raw water?
So in our report for the strategic plan is they're looking at the capacity and the growth in these areas in the towns for Barooga and Toke, and around the capacity to certain areas. So they'll come back with identified areas that the concerns around pressures and capacities in certain mains. So then they'll be looking to put scenarios to the council that would look to adopt going forward with best project measures to suit each towns in Toke and Baruga.
And I suppose the other question I had was like, in the ranges of like 10, 12 mil and 20 mil, you know, as in the capacity, I think it's the capacity, is it? The pipes, are they, or is that the pressure that runs through the pipe? Is that, like, there's, in here it says there's, I can't think where it is now.
Yeah, or litres per whatever. So you got the towers,
Yep.
and you're talking around 10 metres. So you can imagine when you got 10 metres in that tower, how much pressure that is putting down that line. So when they're drawing too much and it gets under that 10 metre capacity, is usually there's a lot less pressure in that pipeline. So yeah.
So it says here, as per the hydraulic modelling and performance criteria, most of the locations of the township receive residual pressure between 12 and 20 mil under the peak demand.
Yes.
And it's saying that some parts receive 10 to 12. Is it closer to the 12 or is it closer to the 20? And is that across the Shire as well? What I'm saying is we've got a range, obviously, and if we're inside that range, we're saying it's acceptable. But is it closer to the 12 or is it closer to the 20? And will this Public Works Authority identify those ranges for us?
Yeah, they'll look at identifying those ranges and also about the use, because around the capacity, like how much water's getting drawn down, say in winter versus right now, because you understand how dry it's getting in everyone's garden and how much water they're starting to use. Then it's the right time of year for the developments to be doing roads and all this sort of stuff. So they'll be drawing water, like we found out issues around taking it from hydrants. We're trying to put a stop to a lot of people taking water out of these towns that shouldn't be, so yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So the CEO has a proposal for an additional point in the amendment.
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to propose that an additional point 6 for the report to be brought back to the next council meeting for endorsement. That's not adoption, but endorsement, because we will go away and get it productionised.
Okay. The mover and seconder happy with that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
And you
Council-
notice with those 6 issues around the pressure, that would, a lot of those were internal issues, not actually external, so, which
Yeah.
caused a lot of that pressure, so.
Which again, I don't think is a true indication of what's actually going on, because if, like, what's the age of those houses, what's the age of the infrastructure that they're doing? I mean, we understand Tokemall's probably got the oldest infrastructure, but, and I suppose, you know, another point was there around field testing. Well, how many places were actually field tested in that study that was done, like from our guys, so.
And it's weird because it's not all over town.
No.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. We can have 3 or 4 showers going when we've got people in the house.
Yeah, and which is different
But-
because
but
you
friends
say
of mine
the
up
further
the other
away
end-
from the tower, the worse you are.
friends
But
of
in
ours
Tokemall,
up the
the
other
closer you
end-
are, the worse you are.
If they've got a sprinkler going, the hot water service won't kick in.
I knew this would be the most controversial topic of the month. Councillor Dennis is waiting patiently.
I was surprised about parts of the report being on the ground in Tokemon. I've actually seen people's water pressures and quite surprised by that. I have one question though. I tried to do a bit of research on the fire hydrant pressure, and I did note that there's 10% still of Tokemon that has the below the average water pressure, and Burma Road is one of those areas. So does that affect the firefighting capacity for water pressure? Like I said, to try and do some research of it. I don't understand what the fire service requires for water pressure, but I do understand that there is a requirement for the front of gate tap water to have fire pressure to be able to put out a fire. Is that included in the report?
No, it's not included in the report, but we can sort of follow that up, that question for sure, and get back to you around that one.
Can I add that as an amendment, please?
Yep. If the mover's happy,
Move and second is happy with that.
that's the seconder, the mover's happy, yep.
So that would be around
in Burma Road?
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
Burma Road and overall, in a total,
Overall.
Burma Road's the one that I noticed had the
To be
less
considered.
significant pressure, but there are other areas that would have less pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, anyone else? There we go, controversy. All in favour of the proposed resolution, we've got to move a second, yeah, all in favour of the proposed resolution as on our screens? Okay, thank you. Carried. We're up to 8.12, which is a planning proposal for land reclassification. Oh, it's a big recommendation. The recommendation is that Council A support staff to lodge a planning proposal consistent with this report to the Minister for Planning and Public Spaces to request a gateway determination and request to exercise the functions of the local plan making authority under section 3.34 and section 3.362 of the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act 1979, respectively for the locations at Road Reserve between Jersey Street and Wars Road, Tocumwal, and land at corner Brewer Street and Murray Street, Tocumwal. B, that we support staff to address any conditions identified in a gateway determination, including publicly exhibiting the planning proposal and supporting information, and organise an independently chaired public hearing pursuant to Section 29 of the Local Government Act 1993 at the end of the public exhibition period. And C, delegate authority to the Director, Community and Development to finalise the planning proposal process without further report to the Council if objections are not received during the public exhibition or public hearing, or if objections are received during public exhibition or public hearing, require staff to lodge a report on the outcomes of the exhibition and any proposed amendments to finalise the planning proposal at a council meeting. Do we have a mover? Councillor Brooker, a seconder. Councillor Nardikoa. Andrew, would you like to speak to this before we discuss?
Thank you, Matt. I don't want to downplay it, but these are fairly standard type of responses when you need to change the land classification. It's just a process that council has to go through. Ultimately, there should be no surprises to the community because a lot of these are actually driven from them to actually, as an adjoining landowner or somebody else that they've got a vested interest and they're trying to acquire it. The department will dictate the process we have to follow, which will include public consultation, and then based on submissions, there's another process we would have to go through. But we're hoping that this is a known unknown, and therefore we won't receive too much community concern.
Okay, any questions or comments? Councillor Dennis?
I went for a quick drive out there today and I noticed that the land in the Jersey Street is fenced off and used. So I'm guessing there's a trigger for that to be on the agenda for today.
Is that a question for Andrew?
So I guess my question is that been a trigger for this to be on the agenda for that land use in Jersey Road? And what has been the past use for that area?
Adjoining lands use that for a long time. It's never been formally recognised, so they asked for the discontinuance of the road. After the discontinuance of the road, then we need to change the land classification. So in real terms, what occurs on site, no variation. It's purely that when council changed the road classification, we should have then instigated another step, which we didn't, which would have foregone us having to do a planning proposal.
Okay.
So there's no change out on site.
And there's two blocks that are behind the one that's proposed. Have they already been reclassified? Thank you.
They were done in the right process.
Thank you.
Okay, any other queries? No? Okay, all in favour of that recommendation? Okay, thank you, carried. We've got a number of notices of motion, and well done councillors for submitting that. It's good to see everyone getting things in there in the agenda. 9.1 we have from Councillor Dennis, a notice of motion, which is that council have a report to be provided to council at the December 2025 council meeting, providing the current status and short and long-term options for the improvement in telecommunications coverage for the Greater Tocumwal area. The report is to include identification of current infrastructure, current performance, known issues, and council's role and options for improvement, including advocacy and direct provision of infrastructure. And I understand that Councillor Dennis wishes that December to be November, wants to move November.
Correct, that's what was submitted, thank you.
Okay, there was an error, so the motion is November. So you've moved that. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Stringer? Councillor Dennis, would you like to speak to your motion?
Oh, wow, Sunday was really interesting. Most of the Tokemore residents spent the day without any mobile service, and half of Monday. That includes the hospital and all emergency services. So it's remains quite a significant issue. Still communicating with the people responsible for telecommunications with the tower. It's a very hard ask. Personally spent an hour and a half on the phone, and a colleague next to me spent 2 hours on the phone trying to resolve it. To have this issue, I understand it's not a council responsibility, but to have this issue advocated as an urgency to have some sort of resolve so the community of Tokemore, and I believe parts of Finley, can actually have a mobile service would be very advantageous, and support from the council is sought for that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Dennis. I note that I am seeking, and you've seen the letter, I sent a letter seeking a meeting with the Minister for Communications. He's a tad busy at the moment, but I am told that they're working on that, so fingers crossed. Anyone else wish to have any questions or comments?
No, only the fact that this is not a new issue, and you know we had a sitting member in federal parliament for 8 years who was in government, and we never got any support through black spot funding. So, you know, unfortunately, until something does happen or 000 doesn't work or something like that, I mean, you can keep beating the door.
I did raise this with the opposition leader, member for Farrer, when I met with her last Tuesday. That's all we can do at this stage, but some information to back that up will be helpful. So, anyone else wish to raise anything? All right. All in favour of that notice of motion? Thank you. Carried. 9.2 we have from Councillor Stringer, and this is that Council commence the process for adoption of a local order to address animals, vehicles and other compliance matters within the Shire in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993. Once drafted, the local order will require community consultation and adoption through a council resolution. This can be financed through existing funding allocations. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Dennis. Councillor Stringer, would you like to speak to your motion there?
Yes. This comes about because there's dogs roaming the street left, right and centre, and there's people being attacked at the same rate. There's dogs that are going berserk that are in their own property but going berserk, and there's nothing. Our hands seem to be tied because our laws against all this seem to be from back when we were living in a cave, and we need to upgrade it and everything else. There's a couple in Tokemore, local business people, who have moved out of their house into a rental, and they're going to put their house on the market because for 3 years they've been trying to get the dogs next door quietened down and to stop them getting out and attacking children at the bus stop. And my phone goes constantly, and I get video footage of it constantly, and the ranger goes there constantly and says that his hands are tied. So we need to do something.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stringer. Anyone else have any for or against? No? Okay.
Sadly, it's not just Toke.
No. Okay, all in favour of Councillor Stringer's motion? Thank you, carried. 9.3 we have from Councillor Healy. And the motion is that Council fund the amount of $13,000 for boom lift hire and tower preparation for the Berrigan Water Tower Art Project, provide a letter of support for the water tower project to the Berrigan Tidy Towns and Conservation Group for use in their grant applications, receive a further report to the December 2025 Council meeting on the likely 5 to 10 year impact and maintenance requirements in relation to water leakage that will affect the mural, the cost to provide high security fencing for the project and the electricity supply options available for the site. Do we have a seconder for Councillor Healy's motion? Thank you, Councillor Ngartakoa. Councillor Healy, would you like to speak in favour of your motion?
Yes, thank you. So the Berrigan Conservation and Tidy Towns group wrote to us in May regarding this, and first presented it to us as a new council at our
Is May too.
Listening post.
listening post. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name of what we called that at the time. And I believe that this is going to be, it's in line with our strategic plan, and it's going to promote not only our community, but our area as somewhere that people can come to and stop. It is something that also represents the history of Berrigan through horse racing, agriculture, and the RFS. So the request is for a minimal amount to support what is going to be funding the whole project, which is looking at $60,000 to $70,000. And in regards to the point 3, I just need to make hopefully it's okay to just make an amendment to the second point there, because they have got some high security fencing for the project obtained. So it would be to support what's being provided in kind, essentially.
Okay. Thank you. Can I just check with the CEO what our budget position is, and whether we have funds to the value of 13,000 hanging around that's been unspent, for example, in the last quarter?
I can't give a definite answer on that because we're still working through that. What I can say to council is that the overall financial situation, based on what we saw at executive 2 weeks ago, is looking reasonably sustainable at the moment. So it would be my view that if council was of a mind to do this, this probably could be funded at this point in time.
So we're under? You can't say.
I cannot say whether under or not. What I can say, though, is that the long-term financial plan, which was presented, and indeed particularly the numbers for 25, 26 and 26, 27 indicated the position is quite reasonable and manageable at this time.
Okay. I'll let someone else talk, but I have another suggestion, but that's all right.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I'd like to just concur with the mover of the notice of motion that, we talk about community, we talk about going out and engaging with the community. We implemented the listening posts, we attended those, we got reports back. We actually advised the Tidy Towns and Conservation Committee to go away and source some funding to do this. They've done exactly that. This is exactly the projects that the council needs to support and I'm sure that the executive can find $13,000 for this, because what it says to the community is that you're listening. This is important to the community of Berrigan. Berrigan are a community that they just get on and do stuff for themselves. They don't ask for a lot, they don't want for a lot. But when they do come, they come with their guns loaded, and they have come with their guns loaded, and I believe that we should fund this.
Anyone else?
I agree with Matt, and the reason I'm supporting this is because, as Matt said, this is what we asked them to do. Sorry, Councillor Hannan. This is what we asked the Tidy Towns to actually do and come back to us with a plan. They weren't asking for the whole funding of it when we spoke to them in February, but I applaud their, tenacity for actually getting in, doing the work. So I can't see why we shouldn't be supporting this.
Anyone wish to speak against? I'd just like to suggest, and perhaps I'll issue a notice of motion for a future council meeting, that we have the small business grants program. I'd perhaps like to see us have an arts program.
Yep.
It may be for next financial year, so we budget it, and so then it's competitive, and then all of the towns get a crack when they're running artistic projects. I'm not suggesting it today, throwing it out there, and I'll move that for a future meeting.
Can I just add to that? I think it's a great idea, because if you look at your CSP, there are clear ones in there in regards to sourcing and funding art projects and the like. So.
Correct. Yep, right. So we'll save that for another meeting where we'll allocate budget accordingly. But we'll put Councillor Healy's motion to the vote. So all in favour of that? Thank you. Carried. Finally, we have Notice a motion on road maintenance from councillor Payne. It relates to a report to come to the December council meeting, and that's to be on the recurrent road maintenance program for each classification of road type, including the following information: the seasonal timing of maintenance for each class of road, the type of maintenance undertaken for each class of road, frequency of maintenance by road and maintenance type, the amount of total budget allocated to each classification of road type, the process for allocation of works within the budget allocated. Also, the process in place for communicating maintenance schedules and standards to residents, and a summary of the current and future challenges in maintaining the road network, including alignment and efficiency available in relation to private roadworks. And 3, an analysis of the last 3 financial years of funding for this program to inform future council decision-making in the program, including the total amount allocated and spent, the source of funds, council and third party, breakdown of works between council and contractors. Do we have a seconder to councillor Payne's motion? Councillor Brooker, thank you. Councillor Payne, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. I just want to say that the roads crew do a fantastic job, so this isn't anything against them. But I do have a lot of calls and in relation to roads and when my road's being done, when's Tom, Dick and Harry's road's being done, as well as trying to ensure that we've got a bit of transparency for our community, which builds our trust, to give a clear calendar style guideline of when scheduled works are being done and how everything actually works. And I think that also will give a bit of a where my money goes kind of financial view for the community as well as for us councillors as a budgetary view and perspective.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Gary?
This motion's only on maintenance for roads, so to define capital works versus maintenance, so I just want to make sure this motion's around just the maintenance side of it.
Councillor Payne?
Yes.
Because gravel resheeting is a capital works versus maintenance grade are 2 different tasks. So to understand what a maintenance task is versus a capital works.
Do we have a capital works calendar as well? We do, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah. I think definitely more so the sealed roads. I know that the main one in particular that I get a lot of phone calls for is Sandhills Road. Especially around the fruit picking time of year and when that's done. It's been stated to me by quite a few users that it's not being done at the right time. And I just sort of want a bit of an idea on the surrounds as well. And noting that a particular road that is used by one person was done 3 years in a row. So I wanted a bit of clarification on all of those as well. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just for further
Councillor Hannan?
clarification to the Director of Infrastructure. So with the maintenance schedule that the council undertakes, so obviously in a dry year, you know, our roads are pretty good, correct?
Correct.
And in a wet year, then we have to prioritise, and we will get requests from, you know, roads that may well be in worse condition than other roads. Is that correct?
So the requests will come in around roads and we'll assess those roads against the defects. And we have certain defect sizes and depths. And then we'd rate that prioritisation of that road to restore that to a level of service that the Shire has agreed on.
And just one further one, didn't we had some data done by, what was the company that did the data about 12 or 18 months ago over our sealed roads?
Yeah, so Shepherds did a visual assessment. They didn't do like radar perometer to get depthing conditions of pavement. So that was only a visual assessment for disaster recovery funding for that. So in the last 2 or 3 years, you've probably seen a lot of contractors around on certain roads because they were getting done under the flood recovery versus our Shire. So we'd have to look at that.
So
evidence
just
in the
on that,
last 2 or 3 years will support the DERF versus our maintenance and on those type of roads with that report.
So just on that, they only assess the roads that, or they assess the whole network, or they only assess the roads that were affected by?
They drove the whole network, so yeah.
So that data's still useful?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Just one more question. Gary, do you think that report is achievable by December? It's quite a hefty report.
Why don't you make it January?
In the current column for the resources we've got, it's probably pushing it a little bit because we've got a few resources that we're doing interviews to backfill resources.
Given the Christmas holidays in December, do you think February meeting would be enough time?
Yes, and in light that we are looking around the service review around the transport too, which will probably entail a lot of this stuff that we're going to be collecting to manage with that service level around the transport too.
Okay, is our seconder happy with that? Councillor Brooker? Yep. Okay.
Sorry,
Councillor Natikoa?
just one more thing. So in speaking with Renee with Councillor Payne on this, it was just also capturing the farmers' driveways and things like that as the private works, to sort of, I guess, make sure that, if you're doing some road works on the road that leads up to their driveway, are they able to then contact Shire and arrange to have their driveway graded or something, rather than when the work is on the other side of the Shire and then they want their driveway graded?
Generally, yes, when we're programming that works around that area, we can entail the farmer to do that.
Yeah, so I think that's probably just clarifying in relation to
Yes.
the private works and stuff. That was probably what I was referring to as the driveways and such.
Yeah.
Hopefully an easy question. How is it currently communicated to residents or community, the schedule or when council is going to be in that area?
So probably there used to be communication around where the Shires were working or grading in the area.
Yeah.
In the last year or two, we don't communicate that well to the Shire anymore, indicating where the staff are working around the Shire.
Yeah. And just a clarification, is this report, is that a once-off, or is it then, does that then become a live kind of structure or program that gets adapted each year? I'm just not sure whether that was the purpose, whether this was just a...
Generally under our asset management and transport management plan, we indicate around the level of service for different collective roads versus access roads versus dry weather roads and non-use roads or fire break roads. So a lot of this stuff is already captured in our asset management and transport management plan. So it's just about collecting the data of evidence that they have done that in line with those management plans that we've got adopted and that we're going to be reviewing, because a lot of these asset management plans are 4 years old, so to update to current service levels and in line with probably budget, operation and maintenance of dollars.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favour of Councillor Payne's motion there? Yeah. Okay, thank you, carried. Could I get someone to move us into closed council? Councillor Natikoa, a seconder. Councillor Healy, all in favour? Thank you, carried. Okay, welcome back to the council meeting of 15 October. Council discussed in closed council a confidential commercial matter, and we also discussed confidential staffing matters and the CEO recruitment process. We're up to item 11, which are motions without notice and questions without notice. Do we have any? Councillor Nadakoa.
I've just got a question without notice. I've had a couple of people contact me in relation to the lights at the crossing in Finley. Are we looking at getting lights there? Sort of what's the update in relation to that?
Under the Transport New South Wales, it's their crossing, and under the guidelines for that, no, it doesn't meet the warrant for lights at the moment. But we'll monitor it, and then we'll go back and see how it's going with that. We did increase the signage because they chose the wrong size signage. So hopefully a lot of the new signage there has enhanced the crossing.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, did you mean lights as in flashing lights?
Yeah,
or-
the flashing lights to
Oh, right.
identify the crossing.
Yeah.
Because we've had a couple of, obviously, lots of squeaky brakes as they're coming up because someone has just walked out onto the crossing without actually waiting to make sure that the traffic is slowing down or stopping. Leave it a few extra seconds, given that it's a new position, but that's how I would approach it. But then also some kids and stuff like that, they were going to and from school, they're ready to go, thinking that, okay, everybody else is going to stop for me. So it's just a couple of safety concerns from that perspective. They were just asking if there was going to be anything more happening.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dennis?
I have 3 points. One, which is Councillor Payne's already picked up on about the bus stop areas. I've noticed that there's a few bus stop areas around town that they're actually going off the road to go into grassed area, and there's quite big wheel ruts in several places where buses are having to pull off the side of the road that's not kind of a designated bus stop. Is there something that can be included in that? I'm not sure if that's going to be part of your report or if it's an extra report where we can look at actually having a safe pull-off area for buses.
So I wasn't actually at that meeting. I had sort of somewhat declared myself a conflict of interest and asked Councillor Booker to attend in my place because I have a major issue with the bus stop where my daughter gets on. It is quite a dangerous intersection. So I am in the works of writing a bit of a summary for a notice of motion to come to council and to review the bus stops. Some of them are a bit of a conflict with Transport New South Wales and they're a bit hard to manage. I was told that I needed to go to a bus stop coordinator at the school and they don't actually exist. So I'm sort of trying to get my head around that one. It might be a bit of a Michelle.
Okay. Are you happy with that, Councillor Dennis?
I can give an example of some bus stops that are quite muddy when they pull over and are now full of ruts, and they've had to actually change where they're
So mindful in Tocumwal and Baruga, you've probably got some school buses from Victoria, and I'm not too sure if they're Victorian buses versus New South Wales. The Victorian ones haven't got approval, so.
Well, can of worms. Whoops.
Okay, perhaps you could work with Councillor Payne on the notice of motion.
Could I just add to that something that we learned with our bus stop is it's actually the bus companies that were determining where ours were. So that was which was safe and which wasn't. So we can be picked up from one spot, but we have to be dropped off at another. So it could be whilst our schools don't have bus coordinators or whatever the role was, the 2 bus companies may be able to assist with that too.
So I think with the notice of motion, we will unpack the glory of this situation, much like the water pressure. Councillor Dennis, anything else?
Yeah, the other point that I've noticed is that there's, I noticed that there's been a latest post of a historical record about the rail line to Jerilderie, but I noticed prior to that the rail line from Finley to Berrigan, it's quite overgrown, and I'm not sure where we go with that. I don't know who has ownership of that, if it's a council responsibility or if it's something that we can use as a tourism, for a path. I think I have a feeling I'm about to open another can of worms here.
Yeah, I can see this. Andrew, did you want to respond?
So it's only recently that we found out that we're to maintain that as a handball, so to speak, in relation to that area. So we're looking into it. There are some issues in regards to leases and licences there, but also buildings that might have built on other people's land as well. So it is a larger exercise, but we can come back to you in that. But we do have to maintain some of that area.
Okay, and Councillor Dennis, was there anything else?
Yep, I just wanted to congratulate the council staff and all council involved on doing such an outstanding job with the maintenance in preparation for the Finley Show, the Berrigan Show, Air Show, the Show Shine, the aerobatics, the Royal Fire Service. All towns looked absolutely amazing, and the work that the council have done to maintain that and to actually present it was outstanding, and I'd like to pass on a thank you for that.
So that's probably for your verbal report, but we'll take that.
Sorry.
That's all right, not a question. I was waiting for the
all
question. All
combined.
good. Any other questions?
I have one.
Councillor Payne.
Just wondering where we're at with the land reclassification for the section of Baruga Street in Berrigan.
Yeah.
Behind the caravan park.
Correct.
Thank you, yes. So council's engaged a surveyor. The surveyor's gone out and actually determined the amount of land that's available. Then from that plan, we're going to provide that to the department to progress it. So we're meeting our obligations of what we agreed under the renewed lease. So that is in train. We probably could give you a bit of an update and perhaps add it as an action list if you would like.
Yeah, that'd be great. Do we have a bit of a timeline on?
Timeline will be how long's a piece of string because it's up to the department. We will do our bit and apply, but how they progress it is, there is no time frame under the Act. But
Okay.
we will try and come up with what we think their time frame might be once we've got further clarity from them.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, we'll move to the Mayor's report. So I forgot to add this on there. And the 19th of September, when I was in Canberra, I cornered Nicole Overall, who is the MLC duty person for our area from the Nationals, to discuss, as I've discussed with her previously, matters relating to health, ambulance and all sorts of things, and still working with them for potential partnerships. On the 20th September in Berrigan, I attended the RFS 125th anniversary. It was a well-attended event. It was, there were some remarkable achievements that were demonstrated that evening, lifetime awards, and people who have worked in the RFS for, nearly all of their lives. Really great evening. 23rd of September, I oversaw a citizenship ceremony. I also met with MacArthur. 24th of September, the Goulburn Murray Community Leadership met with them. We had our professional development on the 1st. We had recruitment meetings on the 3rd. I met with Susan Lee at Parliament House on Tuesday the 7th of October, raised a whole range of our advocacy issues, and there was a happy snap that she published. Further meetings relating to our SERE recruitment on the 7th. On the 8th of October, I met with Senator Deborah O'Neill again at Parliament House, had a range of discussions, particularly in relation to the upcoming meeting with the Environment and Water Minister, and what we might be discussing in relation to that. Further meetings relating to SERE recruitment on the 8th. We had Baruga Advancement Group last evening and council meeting today. Would someone like to move my report? Councillor Nardikoa, second, and Councillor Payne, all in favour of accepting that report. Thank you, carried. I will go around the room. Councillor Payne, do you have a report?
No.
Councillor Nardikoa?
Sorry. I had a speed reading course on the 23rd of September, and then the professional development session on the 1st, and CEO interviews on the 3rd.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dennis?
I had the local government asset financials for councillors set in with a date. They changed the date at late notice to the 24th of September, which I already had a commitment on, but I have received the online education tutorials for that. On the 18th of September, I attended the flood risk management in Tokemore, which is really quite interesting. I'm looking at all the flood areas, potential flood areas, and how they do those assessments, and it was well attended in Tokemore. And other than the training session and the other council duties, that's all.
Thank you. Councillor Hannan.
The meeting's around the recruitment of the CEO.
Thank you. Councillor Stringer? No. Councillor Healy?
CEO recruitment meetings and the professional development workshop this month.
Thank you. Councillor Brooker?
CEO recruitment. Oh, sorry, CEO recruitment. I had a development day. I had a Teams meeting, an RFS Teams meeting on the 8th of October. Barooga Advancement Group last night and council today.
Excellent. So that's everyone's reports. So the next ordinary council meeting will be held on Wednesday, 19th November at 4:30 p.m. in the council chambers here in Berrigan. There being no further business, we will close the meeting at 6:09 p.m. Thank you, everyone. We have an extraordinary meeting on the 30th of October.